Hi everyone, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Message in the Eye. Silvano Vincetti is an Italian art researcher who recently discovered that Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa holds a secret message in her eyes. The message is invisible to the naked eye, but was revealed using high-resolution imagery. Leonardo believed the eyes were the doorway to the soul, so it makes sense that he would leave a secret code there. The letters painted behind Mona Lisa's eyes were done with a very fine brush. The advanced imaging techniques revealed the letters L and V behind her right pupil. L and V are likely Leonardo's initials, but behind her left pupil are far more mysterious letters, either B and S or C and E. Researchers can't tell exactly which letters are hidden. That isn't the only mystery in the picture, though. Silvano says he also found the number 72 hidden faintly underneath the bridge in the background. The current hypothesis is that the two letters painted behind Mona Lisa's left pupil are the initials of whoever she was in real life. The woman is commonly believed to be Lisa Gherardini, the wife of a merchant from Florence, but Silvano thinks that might not be the case. The letters behind her eye certainly don't match her name. It may have been someone else. And according to Silvano, it could have been a mysterious woman from the court of the Duke of Milan. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And now for number 9. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to @Keth Isandriren for the super thanks. Hope I said your name right. Thank you so much. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe for more videos like these. Number 9. Cosimo I de' Medici. Curators at the Art Gallery of New South Wales made an interesting discovery inside a painting completed in the 16th century. It's a famous Renaissance portrait of Cosimo I de' Medici, and it was painted by Agnolo Bronzino in 1545. Medici was the Grand Duke of Tuscany between 1537 and 1569. In the 1540s, Cosimo de' Medici used his military strength to re-establish Florence as a dominant force in Italy. Then, as a way to immortalize himself and his achievements, he commissioned this portrait. He can be seen in the picture dressed in shining silver armor with beautiful crimson trimmings. It was such a fantastic picture for its day that it was replicated at least 25 different times. Art historians have always wondered which exact copy was the original piece. The curators at the art gallery used advanced imaging techniques to look at the underpainting. They discovered the shadow of a different person underneath the finished paint. By using X-ray fluorescence microscopy, art historians were able to see the sequences of paint application. They believe the copy they have at the gallery to be the first one made, the original of the 25 works. The most fascinating part, though, is that the portrait didn't start out as a picture of the Grand Duke of Tuscany. There is another figure underneath the Duke whom Bronzino started painting first. Nobody knows who this person was or why the artist suddenly changed subjects. They think it may have been a rough copy for a later work he did called The Portrait of a Young Man, which is on display at the Nelson Atkins Museum in Kansas City. Number 8. Man handing a letter to a woman in the entrance hall of a house. Peter de Hooch was born in Rotterdam in the 17th century to a bricklayer and a midwife. He was an artist who didn't come from any kind of prestigious background. He had 4 siblings and outlived all of them. Nobody knows what he did in his early life, only that at some point, he came under the wing of landscape painter Nicolaes Berchem. His early work was mostly scenes of soldiers and peasants. Peter drew stables and taverns as he perfected his technique. Then, in the 1650s, he started focusing on domestic scenes. He created beautiful portraits of mothers caring for their children, working midwives, and couples playing cards. One of his most astounding paintings has an extremely long name. It's called Man Handing a Letter to a Woman in the Entrance Hall of a House. The painting is exactly what it sounds like. It shows a man about to hand a letter to a woman inside the vast entryway of an old home. The secret in the painting is that whatever the man is about to hand the woman in the entryway doesn't look like a letter. It looks like the man is holding an iPhone in his hands. It's a truly bizarre scene from every angle. There's a small child in the doorway who looks like she's holding a fishing rod, and she's staring at the man with the iPhone. The dog in the entranceway has its neck craned backward, and it's also looking at the man and his strange artifact. The woman in the chair who's receiving the alleged letter is watching him curiously as well. It could just be a letter that the man has in his hands, but many have noted it looks scarily similar to a modern smartphone. and that's pretty impressive seeing as the painting was completed in 1670. Number 7. La Mulan de la Galette. Pablo Picasso has been dead for 50 years, and historians are still finding secrets in his artwork. A group of conservators were under the suspicion that in Picasso's picture La Mulan de la Galette, there was something hidden from view. So they investigated and found a secret, cute dog. The painting is a frozen snapshot of Parisian nightlife. It was one of the paintings Picasso created during his first year living in Paris. Before it was put on display at the Guggenheim, curators worked with scientists from the Metropolitan Museum of Art to study the painting. The work was headed by Julie Barton, who helped remove grime and varnish from the piece to look at what was hidden beneath. They also used X-radiography and infrared to scan the work and look at the various layers of paint. The investigation revealed a King Charles Spaniel hidden underneath a semi-sheer splotch. For a totally unknown reason, Pablo Picasso painted an adorable dog in bright color on the canvas. He eventually concealed the dog and continued with the snapshot of Parisian nightlife, but it's still there in infrared. Curator Megan Fontanella said it wouldn't have been that weird for a dog to be present at a dance hall in Paris. But why did Picasso remove such an endearing feature? Maybe it didn't fit the scene, or perhaps he just decided he didn't like the dog. Although that would be strange considering Picasso had his own beloved dog named Lump. Number 6. Michelangelo's God Complex. Art scholar Adriano Marinazzo recently accused Michelangelo of having a God complex. The art expert claims Michelangelo painted himself into the creation of Adam, and nobody has ever noticed. The Creation of Adam is the masterpiece that Michelangelo painted on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. It's one of the most famous works of art in human history, showing God reaching out to Adam with their fingers just about to touch. It's long been theorized that God was painted inside the human brain, as you can clearly tell from the shape. But now, Adriano is saying Michelangelo used his own face as inspiration for God in the painting. In other words, the fresco of God is a self-portrait in disguise. But how did Adriano reach this conclusion? It's based around a sonnet that Michelangelo wrote to his friend Giovanni sometime between 1509 and 1511. In the sonnet, Michelangelo complains about how hard the fresco has been on his body. He complains that his rear end strains, that his guts hurt, and that he's working blind. The sonnet then finishes off with a small drawing of a man painting something above him. It's always been assumed that the doodle in the sonnet was meant to be Michelangelo struggling to finish the ceiling. But if you turn the picture the other way, it looks exactly like God reaching for Adam. The doodle could be the preliminary sketch for God in the creation of Adam, entirely based on Michelangelo's own struggle to complete the fresco. Number 5. Black Jesus in Rhode Island. St. Mark's Episcopal Church in Warren, Rhode Island has been around for 150 years, and there's a stained glass window at the church that was installed in 1878. The piece of glass has been getting a lot of attention lately because it depicts Jesus with dark skin. The images on the windows show Jesus Christ in 2 scenes from the New Testament. He's speaking with Martha and Mary in one scene from the Gospel of Luke. And again, both the women have dark skin, just like Jesus Christ. In the other window is Jesus speaking with the Samaritan woman from the Gospel of John. These 2 glass windows represent the oldest known example in public of a black Jesus Christ on a stained glass window. Virginia Ragon from the College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts called the window unique and highly unusual. It was made at a studio in New York by a man named Henry E. Sharp, but the work was forgotten because the church has been closed for years. The glass windows were only rediscovered a few years ago when a family purchased the building to convert it into a house. The glass windows were removed, and that was when people noticed the images of a black-skinned Jesus Christ. The mystery now is that nobody knows what the motivation was behind giving Jesus Christ black skin in the glass windows. In Europe and North America, Jesus Christ is almost always depicted as white. However, when you go to Ethiopia or somewhere in Africa, Jesus is depicted as black. Researchers say since Jesus Christ was born in Israel, he would have likely had dark olive skin like those around him. But people around the world will change his appearance to feel more closely connected. It's not about historical accuracy, but more about the feeling. Number 4. The Nuremberg Sky Battle. In 1561, there was a celestial phenomenon above the free imperial city of Nuremberg in the Holy Roman Empire. It happened when the sun began to rise on April 14th. The men and women of the city saw what was described as an aerial battle flowing out from the sun. As the sun rose in the sky and light fell over the city, there was a war going on above their heads. The people described huge black triangular objects. There were metallic spheres plummeting to Earth, with smoke trailing behind them. Not just a few spheres and triangles either. There were hundreds of them. Witnesses described them as moving erratically at high speed through the atmosphere. They seemed to be hurling projectiles of color at one another. It was described just like a space battle out of a science fiction movie. It's interesting to read the account because the medieval townsfolk didn't know how to describe a space battle. They thought it was a sign from heaven, like a light show from God. People feared that God was cooking up a punishment to smite the townsfolk for their ungratefulness and disobedience. A record of the event exists at the Zurich Library in Switzerland. There's a document that was printed after the event in which an artist recreated what happened. The picture doesn't look much like a space battle. It shows the sun surrounded by long rods and blue spheres. It was the closest the 16th century artist could get to recreating a convergence of UFOs as they waged war above Earth. So, what do you think really happened that day? Let me know in the comments. Number 3. The Remodel. At a home in York, England, a young couple decided to install some new cabinets in their kitchen. During the remodel, they discovered frescoes from the 17th century covering the walls of their home. Luke Budworth and his wife Hazel Mooney had no idea they were living in a piece of art history. The couple first learned about the frescoes from the contractor who was renovating their apartment. Curious as to what else was hidden behind the walls, they decided to keep tearing down the house. They found the fresco of a man in a cage being pulled somewhere by an angel. Then, near the chimney in the living room, they found the fresco of a man in a white cart. These images come from a book called Emblems, and it was written by poet Francis Quarles in the year 1635. The couple then got in contact with Historic England, who chose to survey and document the works of art. Afterward, the couple was advised to preserve and cover the frescoes behind the wall. Now, the ancient pictures are just waiting to be discovered again in another 300 years. Number 2. The Fifth Season. The Fifth Season is a remarkable painting from Belgian surrealist master René Magritte. It was completed in 1943, and today the work is currently on display at the Royal Museum of Fine Arts of Belgium. Researchers were recently investigating the painting when they discovered a secret portrait hidden underneath. Examiners think the secret woman of the painting may have been the artist's wife. The discovery was made using infrared reflectography. This allowed researchers to look underneath the men in the finished painting, walking past each other carrying picture frames and wearing bowler hats. Underneath the scene is a mysterious woman who researchers believe may be Georgette. She was the saleswoman at an art supply store whom René Magritte fell madly in love with. By 1922, they were married. She continued to be his muse up until his death in 1967. So, if the secret figure in the painting isn't his wife, it's going to open up a lot of questions about the late painter's personal affairs. Number 1. Mr. Pynchon and the Settling of Springfield. There is a painting from the late 1930s that appears to show a man taking a selfie with a smartphone. The painting is called Mr. Pynchon and the Settling of Springfield, and it was completed in 1937 by Italian painter Umberto Romano. The painting is loosely based on an encounter between a pair of New England tribes and English settlers in Massachusetts. The meeting happened in the 1630s. 200 years before the invention of electricity, and the painting itself was made 70 years before the iPhone. Yet in the painting, there is a Native American man sitting down with one hand gripping a small rectangular device. His eyes are fixed on the object. He also seems to be smiling like he's getting a hit of dopamine. It looks an awful lot like he's taking a picture of himself at the meeting with the English settlers. But what is the object really? Historian Daniel Crown says it was likely a handheld mirror. Daniel explained that Native Americans were bewitched by the treasures brought across the ocean by the settlers. Trinkets and toys would have been utterly fascinating to the indigenous people of North America. Much like people today who can't stop staring at their phones, Daniel thinks the painting displays someone who couldn't stop staring at a shiny new toy they've never seen before. Thanks for watching! What's your favorite discovery found in artwork? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!